Hello everybody, my name is Patrick Dennis with Synaptic Advisory Partners, and today we're going to be talking about how you can use Youreka to conduct some field inspections, some field audits, particularly in the health, safety, and environment side of things. We have a lot of different customers that we've seen that are working on trying to be able to, or in the past they were working on trying to be able to conduct some of these audits in an efficient and effective way. And many of them, we typically found that they were using paper or they were using devices to collect some of this information about these inspections, but it was troublesome because a lot of times they were going into places that did not have internet connectivity or otherwise. So what we're going to show you today is a way that you can use the Salesforce.com platform as well as our application called Youreka to basically be able to do offline inspections and then map all that data back into Salesforce and use it for your business. So what we're going to play the role as today is we are going to be a field inspector. We're responsible for going out and visiting some of these remote sites, conducting a safety inspection. We'll show you one that we have queued up today. And then after we save that information, we're going to pass it back to Salesforce, and then we'll be able to report on that inspection data. And it's going to be very easy and seamless. There's not going to be any double entry of data. It's just going to be, we're just going to collect it once, and then we're going to click Save, and it'll all go back up into Salesforce. So in terms of the full demo flow, we'll start inside of Salesforce. We'll prepare to go do an audit in the field. We'll kind of queue one up, and then we'll actually go out of the field, do an inspection, and then we'll analyze that data back in Salesforce when we're done. So let's go ahead and move over into Salesforce here. So what you can see is I just have an example Salesforce environment that we're going to be using for the purposes of this demo. And what we've got going on here is just an object that kind of contains some information about audits, like the date that an audit might take place, who the audit's going to be for, as well as some statuses. So what we've done here is we've actually queued up a new audit record for Dean Industries. It has not yet been completed. It's still in that new status. And this audit is actually going to be a work at heights audit. So we're going to be going out to the field and we're going to be inspecting some things around how this organization or how this work site is doing in terms of compliance with the way that they're handling folks that are working up at heights. So we've got this audit record queued up for us here, and we also have created a form record that's related. This is where Youreka really comes into play here. We've created a form record that is yet to be filled out, but this is our form that we're going to fill out here in the field, and the template that we're going to be using is our work at heights audit. So let's go ahead and go on over into our mobile application where you can see here that our the form that we have created back in Salesforce is available for us here on the Youreka mobile app. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to click offline. So I've killed my mobile application of any internet connectivity at this point, and I'm going to fill out the entire application, or I'm going to fill out the entire inspection without connectivity. And again, the reason why we're going to do this is because we've found a lot of customers that do these types of audits are going out into areas where there's just no connection at all, and they need to be able to collect this information reliably. So when we open up this form, what we'll notice here is it's pre-populated with all the data that came in from Salesforce. So we'll see that Dean Industries was the name of the company that we're doing this for. This is the job site that we're going to work with. And we'll indicate the date that we're actually coming out to do this particular inspection. We can see there's the description of the audit. It is a work at heights audit. And then we'll just proceed on to answer some questions. Now the first thing that we'll ask here is there a signed JSA? If there is one, we're okay. But if there's not a signed JSA, then we can't continue to do this work. It's kind of the policy that we need to be abiding by. So we can inform our users that if there's not a signed JSA, that they just stop. And that's kind of a result of our conditional display logic. We can show or hide different pieces of information based on answers to previous questions. So for here, we'll just say, yes, there is a signed JSA, and then we'll move on. And what you can see here is just a whole series of different questions that we're going to be asking the inspector to fill out. And all the pick list values, all the radio buttons are exactly the same for every single question. It's just whether they passed or they didn't pass, or if it's not applicable, we can fill that out too. So we're just going to start answering some of these questions, like have all the scaffolding on this job site been thoroughly inspected? If the answer is yes, then great. If the answer is no, then we can actually explain some of our thoughts around why the answer was no there. But we'll say yes, and then we'll continue to move on. The next question here is are all ladders equipped with a cage? And so here we'll actually say that the answer is yes. This is, again, just another example of us using conditional display logic to present different questions and content to our inspectors when the time is right, right? So this is just another way that we can collect information, but in this case, it's actually going to be a photo. So we'll open up the photo ability here, and I just have an example image here of what it looks like to have some ladder cages. We can name the photo if we want to, or we can just use the date and timestamp, which is what I'm going to do for this example. Now, when we open up this photo gallery, we can see here, it just gives us the ability to mark up some stuff here. So if we can see, there's actually a ladder right there, and we're good to go. All right, so we're just going to keep moving on here. You can see that we have the ability to just kind of answer yes or no for some of these questions. Again, if the answer was no, maybe we want to ask somebody to explain, but we'll just kind of keep cruising on here. And actually for this one, I'm going to make it so that we fail. I'm going to say that we're not doing a very good job at all right now for all of these different questions. So there's not proper signage. We don't have proper guidance in and around these different potentially dangerous areas. We're not using spotters. It's pretty bad, you guys. So we'll get to the last page here, and we'll just give the inspector one final opportunity to indicate kind of their last thoughts. So please provide any other information about this audit here. So we'll dictate into this one this time, and we'll say, it did not go well, period. There were plenty of areas that could be improved upon, period. All right, so we'll just enter some of that information in there, and we'll change the status of the audit to completed. If we wanted to create a task, we actually could. So we can open up a section here to say, follow up with site manager. And what this is actually going to do is it's going to create a task inside of Salesforce that we can use tomorrow in order to follow up. But in this case, just for the sake of time, we will exit out of there. So here what I can actually do is I'm just going to click submit. And when I do, what we'll notice here is that we're still offline. We did all that stuff without internet connectivity. And the iPad is actually telling us that. The Youreka mobile app is indicating here, it's that orange banner that you see right around the form there. That's telling us that the whole thing is just stored locally on the iPad right now. We need to wait until we find internet connectivity in order to push this back into Salesforce. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to reestablish connection, and now it's going to push all the data automatically right back up into Salesforce. And when it does, you can see there's automation that's being kicked off. It looks like I actually have a couple different alerts here. One is that it passed, one that it's failed. Got to address that, I suppose. But in any case, what we can see here is when we pass that information back up into Salesforce, what we'll see is that everything is now landed back in the system. So if I refresh my page here back in Salesforce, you'll see that this exact same audit that we were working off of before, it actually has some new values here. It says, it failed. This is how many times that we had exceptions where we said no. These are the auditor's comments that we indicated at the very end there. And we can actually open up the entire form record right here. And this is going to show us everything that we filled out there, all the way down to the yeses and nos for each and every individual question. We can open up the photo here and see all the images that were taken while we were on site. Everything's there for us, you guys. And we can also see there's some special discoveries and insights that the form has actually created for us. So, for example, it's telling us how many issues were generated. 8 out of 13 questions, or 62% of those questions, were indicated as no, that where we had a problem. So that's a high level of issues, I would say. We're also using Einstein sentiment and Einstein vision to help us analyze some of the other pieces of information that were collected out there. So like the free text that we collected from the auditor that says that it did not go well. There are plenty of areas that needed improvement. Einstein sentiment is telling us this is kind of a negative comment. We should notice this. The other thing is with Einstein Vision, we're able to use artificial intelligence and image recognition technology to look at these images and indicate whether or not this equipment is safe or whether maybe we need to reevaluate it. In this case, we're saying that it's not safe. That's what our image recognition model has indicated to us. So here I'm actually just going to go right back to the audit. And the other thing that we have a lot of customers ask us for all the time is, can I generate a summary of this particular audit so that I can send it off to the site manager, for example. And while Youreka does have an out-of-box functionality for generating a PDF, we also have the ability to use this data that we just collected alongside some more advanced PDF generation technology. Like in this case, we're going to use Conga. So I've put a button here that says we want a PDF of this particular audit. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to load up a Conga solution right here. For those of you that are not familiar with Conga, it is also an app on the App Exchange, on the Salesforce App Exchange, just like Youreka is. And Conga is what's allowing us to kind of collect all the different data that's just been put inside of the system, and it's actually going to spit out a PDF in the format that we have asked it to. So here is an example of a field audit summary. Maybe we have our company's logo here. Maybe we have some legal information, some helpful text. We could add any of that stuff in here, but we're also inserting all the information that's unique to this particular record. So the audit failed. There was 8 exceptions. Here's all the times that we said yes and no in this particular case. So it's a very, very powerful way for us to be able to summarize this information in case we need to send it off to somebody after the audit is complete. Now, the other thing I'll show you is that we can open up a dashboard or report inside of Salesforce and indicate, or we can kind of report on and slice on this information that we've pulled into the system with Youreka. So you can kind of see here, these are all the different audits that have been completed. Here's how many exceptions we oftentimes see. So as you can kind of see, it just really depends on what the requirements might be, but we can generate reports inside of the system that are unique to the business requirements that are set forth. But the important thing to remember is that all the data is back inside of Salesforce, so we can use it however we wish. Now, in this case, the last thing I'm going to show is the ability to actually edit these templates. So here I'm actually just going to open up. We'll see if we can find a safety audit template. There we go. So these templates can actually be edited right here inside of Salesforce. And so what we're going to do is we're actually going to show you the canvas. This is what it looks like to actually edit these different forms. So I'm going to actually just make a new version here. This is version 1.2. And again, the reason why we might want to do this is because we have a new business process and we want to start asking brand new questions while we do these work at heights audits. So maybe I'm going to add a new question here. So I can just drag a question right here onto the canvas. And here it's to say, is the site manager present? And we can select which type of question this is going to be. You can see there's a lot of different types of questions here, but I'm just going to say that this is a yes or no question. And then we'll click save. And then the second thing that we'll do here is we can indicate who is the site manager. And we'll just leave that as free text. But the important thing about this second question is I don't want it to show up if the site manager is not present. I only want it to show up if they are. So we're going to use this display logic tab here. We'll click in and we'll select that we only want this question visible when the site manager is indicated as yes, they are present. And so we'll click save and then we'll preview this form. And what you'll notice now is that when we go in and check our work, we can see that this new question that we added here, is the site manager present, yes or no? If the answer is yes, we can indicate who this person is on site. And this could be a very helpful piece of information that we haven't collected before, but now we want our inspectors to be indicating who this person is for reporting purposes. So we'll simply click save here and we'll close it out. And then as soon as we're ready, we'll click publish. And now we can actually start using these new forms out in the field with this new version. And so actually I'm also going to disable the previous versions because I don't want any of our users to use them again. So we'll see this version 1.1, I'm actually going to make this unavailable for our mobile users. And now when we head back over into the mobile application and we sync things up, what we'll see here is that we can actually create a brand new form template here with the safety audit being one of them. Let's see, did I fly by it here? There we go. Version 1.2 will indicate that this is a brand new audit that we're doing. And when we open up this form, what we'll see is there's that brand new question that we just added. So maybe this company that we're working for here is Acevedo Products, and the inspection date is today. And this is another Work at Heights audit. And we can fill out that brand new question to say who the site manager is. So this is a way that we can really deploy new sets of forms out to our users very easily for them to be able to fill out information no matter how many revisions we have. It's very simple to set this stuff up inside of the system and then make sure that our users are filling out in the field with or without internet connectivity. And when they do, they can push it back into Salesforce, and all of these audits, all these inspections are being set inside of the system for us to be able to report on when all is said and done. So that's kind of what things look like when you're using Youreka for the purposes of doing health, safety, and environment inspections and audits out in the field, particularly without internet connectivity. So if you have any other questions, feel free to visit Youreka.io to learn more.